Hey guys, how are you? Today we are going to take a look at my budget and do some updates for some of my spending for the prior week, and then look at how my monthly budget is working so far. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is update my spending. Now, you guys know I use the digital envelope budgeting system, which is a system that mimics cash envelopes. So the first thing I want to do is take a look at any variable spending that I've had for the week and update it. And I have had a lot. I've already filled in a lot of this stuff. But I am keeping my receipts in a cash envelope folder. And I'm only keeping receipts in here. I don't have cash in here. My digital envelopes are really these envelopes on the left-hand side of my budget planner. This is where I track my digital envelopes. This is where the digital envelope magic happens. I only use this physical envelope to keep up with receipts. I want to be really clear about that. So I have a lot of receipts because I had a lot of expenses this week. This was a paycheck week for me. And I've entered just about all of these, but I just want to show you, I've just been seriously keeping my receipts from all of my transactions. And when I come in and enter them, I put a little check here so that I know I've entered it. I have two expenses that I have not entered that I need to update. One is a dining out expense. Unfortunately, I do not like to dine out, but I was so busy this week that I have been eating out way more than normal. I'm actually over budget on dining out in general. So I'm just referencing the receipt. And then I'm going to use my calculator here to calculate my running total. So okay, so now we've updated that. I am recording this on my digital envelope tracker, and that is the expense tracker that I use. Let me go ahead and put a check mark here. That's the expense tracker that I use to keep track of my variable spending, because all of my variable spending comes out of my digital envelope checking account or my variable spending checking account. I also have an expense at Publix that I need to record. This would come out of my grocery digital envelope, which is right here. I don't have a receipt for that because I get digital receipts at Publix and I don't have the option to get a digital and a physical. So in Publix, I just write down the transaction on the back of the envelope. So as you can see, I went over budget. And that's not good, y'all. That's not good. That's not good. And I'm going to talk about being over budget. I'm actually over budget by $5.55. Because what does that mean, right? How can you go over budget? Like, does that mean am I overdrawn? No, I'm not overdrawn. But it does definitely mean that I didn't manage my budget the way I should have this first pay period. So what is interesting is that because this is a digital envelope system, I just transferred that extra $10, which I transferred $10 is what I ended up doing, into my variable checking account to cover that overage. And so I'm going to go ahead and put here overage. This is a transfer that is plus $10. So that gives me that in here. Okay, so let me mention something about being over. This is definitely one of the drawbacks of using a digital envelope budgeting system. If you were using a cash system, you probably would not have transferred any cash money, right? You could, and people do that using a cash envelope system. All they do is they take money from one envelope and put it into another, and that's the same principle. So it's not like it never happens, but it's so much easier to do it in the digital space, which is why a lot of people like cash envelopes, because they feel like they're less likely to do that. So I just really want to point that out. But I typically don't go over. I've been doing this now for about a year, and I rarely go over my variable spending necessarily. It's just for some reason this month, I do budget by paycheck. So I have 2 paychecks this month. And for some reason this month, it's just really, really awkward for me. And even managing or trying to figure out how much money I need to put in my accounts is awkward. I don't know, I'm trying to figure it out, but it's awkward. Let's just say that. But I went ahead and transferred $10, and that gave me $4.45 in that account, which I shouldn't have to use that account the rest of really this pay period, truthfully. Okay, but I have done that. I do need to keep track of those 2 expenses on my actual digital envelopes though. So I'm going to put my Publix expense on my groceries digital envelope, because this is where I do my running totals, and it was $39.34, right? Oh, I'm all over the place today, you guys. Right, because the running total tells me how much I have in that particular envelope technically, because really I'm over. But I went over, if you look through all my envelopes, I'm over in personal, I'm over in dining out, and I just spent more in dining out. I'm over in my home budget, and I'm right at the limit. I only have $4 left in my hobbies envelope. So that's why as a whole, I am over the amount that I transferred into my digital envelope spending account. It's because I don't have physically separate envelopes for all of this. All of this money sits in one spot. So since I'm over so much in all these other categories, even though I'm under in groceries, I'm over on the account. Now, what's good about it is that I'm able to see that because I do track my digital envelopes on this tracker, and that is a really good thing, and I'm really enjoying that. But I do need to also put my dining out Bojangles. Let me say, when I have really busy weeks, that's when this dining out amount, it was $10.90, gets out of control. I have been doing really good with it. I usually round this up to 11, so this will be minus 27. I usually do really good managing my dining out, but this time I've struggled with it this week. And so, I need to get back on track. But let me go ahead and highlight these. I need grocery and dining out. There's dining out, and now I need to find my grocery highlighter, which is right here. Okay, this is grocery. And then dining out. So that's updated. And my receipts are updated. Let me tell you something about using these envelopes. Since I am using these only for receipts, it's getting pretty thick, and I'm going to hopefully use this one envelope for the whole month. And then at the end of the month, I will clear out my receipts and store them for long-term storage, and then use the same envelope for the next month. These envelopes do come with the planner inserts. If you pick up the planner inserts, they have The ones with the planner have this styling right here. I think it's like 8 of them. And then this one is a seasonal set. And so this is sold separately. But you do get 8 with the planner. And you can use them how you want. But I use mine for receipts, as you can see. So I do have another update to make. And that's on my main account transactions. And as you can see, again, tons of transactions. This is where all my bills, my subscriptions, all of that stuff comes out. Everything that I'm not tracking in a digital envelope. And I have so many for a lot of reasons. But one, again, my paycheck just fell at a really weird week. The first paycheck in October. So it almost feels like I have 2 series of bills coming out of this one paycheck, just because the way the paycheck dates are falling for me personally. And that's why I have so many, you see how many bill entries I have here. A lot of these bills actually are not due until like the 17th. And just because I don't get paid again before the 17th, I had to go ahead and pay the bill. And so it shows up here. When normally it would have showed up probably on another paycheck or another tracker. So this was just a strange month for me for that. But that being said, I do have a couple of updates that I need to make. I did have my mortgage payment come out of my account. And I also had an unexpected payment. Girl, how many times you have unexpected payments? You know, I can't even lie. I signed up for the Walmart Plus subscription like last month. Child, I forgot to cancel it. It was a free trial for $1 and I jumped on it because it was $1, trying to be cheap. And now look, I paid $15 because I forgot to cancel the dang thing. And I had to pay for it. But I've canceled it now because I don't want to pay that. I don't use Walmart Plus services enough to justify paying $15 a month. On top of an Amazon subscription. But no, me trying to be cheap, I took advantage of that $1 subscription, and now look where I am, paying a bill I don't want to pay. But that's okay. They will not get me. They will not get me this month, or I should say for November they won't. They better enjoy that $15 because I am not going to, I hope at least, I'm not going to be paying it again. And you know what? It kind of sucks because if there's any time that I probably wanted to pay it, it would be the month of November, because I'm sure there's going to be a ton of Black Friday stuff that I may end up wanting to take advantage of from Walmart. So if they offer another $1 special for November, I may sign up for that. But we'll see. But I canceled it for this month. Okay. So I've already gone ahead and updated those because this is out of my main account. I don't have envelopes for those to update. But I do want to come over here and update. Make sure those things are updated on my actual budget. And so I updated my mortgage. I still have a couple of bills that are scheduled to come out for this pay period. I'm still pending those. I'm looking at my monthly budget. I've updated just about all of these, I believe. So I think we are good to go for all of these updates. I do need to update my Spotify, which, let me see, how much was my Spotify actually? $12.95. So that did come out. And that is about it on the budget side. So I'll update it. A couple things I want to point out in my envelopes is that I do keep an envelope for hobbies. Same reason, I just keep my receipts in here. And I did have some hobby spending, but I don't have any new receipts because my hobby spending, I spent that on my Amazon purchase. And I had a lot of different purchases on that one Amazon order. So I put the receipt into my general receipt folder. And I want to show you how I segment my receipts when I need to do that. Well, let me backtrack. Let me not say that. I said Amazon, I meant Target. I bought a lot of hobby things from Target. And so let's take a look at this Target receipt, because that's a good way to kind of see how I actually segment my receipts. So I got my Target receipt, and Target does a good job of actually grouping your charges by category anyway, right? Like you see grocery, health and beauty, they do that for you. It may not match your categories, but it helps to keep your receipt in order. So I just went through and added up each section, and some of these sections fall under hobbies. So stationery and office supplies, that's for my hobby. So I didn't have a receipt from that, but that's where I got my Target total so that I know if I'm on budget with my hobbies. So I just wanted to show you that. You can always look at your receipts, you guys, and separate your items. I don't do that all the time. I'm going to be really transparent. I do not do that all the time. But that was a really big purchase I made, for me at least, at Target. I usually don't spend $120 at Target. I know some people do. I don't. I could. I get it. People do those Target runs and baby, that bill gets high. But I'm usually more of a, let me go in there and get some bath tissue, let me get some paper towels, and I spend $10 or $15. That's generally what I spend in Target. So since that was a higher order and I had various categories, I went ahead and broke that apart so that I could put it in the correct folder. Or correct envelope. So you see I have an expense for groceries, because that was on that same receipt from Target. An expense for home, all on that same receipt, and I needed to keep my digital envelopes organized, so that's why I separated it like that. Okay, so what else we want to talk about on my envelopes? Guys, guess what? I have some cash. Oh my gosh, I didn't think I was gonna get any cash. I have in here, let's see how much cash I got. I have $30 in cash. Where did this cash come from? Because I've said over and over, I do not deal in cash. This cash came from, I went shopping. I bought some shoes, and my mom went with me, and she wanted some shoes, and there was a deal at the store that was a buy one get one free. So we split the cost. We bought 2 pairs of shoes, and we split the cost. And so I paid for it on my debit card, and she paid me back in cash, and that's how I got this cash. That is usually how I end up with cash. I do not use cash generally on my own, and I probably won't even really use this. I think what I'm going to do when I get cash is keep it in my envelope and just keep it over time and see how much I can build up, and then make savings deposits, because I truthfully do not use cash on a day-to-day. I can't even imagine where I would use this. Now, don't get me wrong, y'all. It's money. It spends. You know what I mean? But I'm saying, when I go like to the gas station, I get gas on my card. When I go to Publix, I get Publix on my card, because I don't want to wait in line to pay with cash. I usually don't have enough cash to pay for a grocery store haul, because I generally spend more than $20 or $30 at Publix. Same with Walmart. Same with just about every store. So my opportunities sometimes to use cash is just really not even there. I'm not going to have a $50 order, pay $30 in cash and $20 on my card. I just not going to go through that. I'm not going to do that. And I'm not going to ride to the bank to deposit $30. I'm not going to do that either. So what I'm going to do with this money, because it's money, I'm not even saying it's not valuable. I am going to use this to do either some envelope stuffing, because I do have like the 100 envelope challenges and stuff like that. I have that stuff in my craft room. So I'll use it for like a savings challenge or something like that. Right now, I'm just going to keep it in my bonus cash envelope and keep track of it because I don't anticipate having a lot. And then move it to a savings challenge. That's what I'm going to do with it. But it's just another example of how these envelopes really do come in handy, even though you're doing digital budgeting. So that was a lot, but those are the updates I needed to make, and that's some examples of me using my envelopes as I work through updating my budget. A couple things I do want to point out to you. And this is kind of like after the fact. I probably should have pointed this out in the beginning of this video. But when I got paid, the way I set all this up before using my card and keeping track of my digital envelopes, when I got paid, because I'm a paycheck budgeter, so when I got paid, I came in and I made a deposit into my variable envelope checking account. That's the account that I use to make all my expenditures. And I made a $325 deposit to cover the balance of what I was going to need to spend in my envelopes for that pay period. So that is how I manage this whole process, right? Now, I will tell you, I am struggling a little bit with the budget by paycheck because I get paid every 2 weeks, and it really threw me off this month with the dates. I mentioned that a little bit with the dates and the timing, and I had to make 2 deposits I ended up having to make 3 or more deposits into that account this month, and I think I prefer to make 1. So we're going to see how it works the rest of the month, and then next month I am going to test out the monthly budgeting approach so that I can determine which one I want to use in 2026. I think already I'm leaning more toward the monthly, because I have to tell you, coming in, I had to make a smaller deposit at the beginning of the month, and then I had to make another deposit, all to kind of get up here to this 400. And you see, it's over 400 because I had a really hard time estimating how much I was going to need for the month. So yes, I'm over because of overspending, but I'm also over just because I struggled with balancing my paycheck periods and what I was going to need for each period. Because this first period goes from October 1st all the way to October 21st, you guys. And I struggled to do that whole 3-week thing when I'm usually doing 2 weeks. I don't know, it was just a mess. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say, but I don't know if I understand what I'm trying to say, but it threw me off. So I came in, I made a $325 deposit out of my main account into my digital envelope account to set up my digital envelopes for all of my expenditures and things like that. And then I track that on my main account here, and you see I have a transfer $325, and I'm showing that came out of the balance. But that's where that $325 went, and then I used that account to pay for all of my digital envelope expenditures, and I started tracking the balance of that account as I was spending out of those digital envelopes, because you see I'm showing a deposit here for $325. So I just wanted to kind of show you how the checking account works with tracking your expenses, works with you using the envelopes. So that's pretty much it. We are set up and ready to go for the next week. I should not have nearly as many expenses because I've bought just about everything I need for this pay period. So we will see. But I thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you have a happy week planning.